Hello and welcome to Dubai Chamber Center for Responsible Business webinar on the future of work, how to effectively manage teams that are working remotely. Today's webinar is organized by the Dubai Chamber Sustainability Network and Remote Working Task Force. So thanks to all of you for joining us today. My name is Kamal Malahi. I'm a Senior Manager at the Dubai Chamber Center for Responsible Business, and I'll be moderating today's webinar. A few housekeeping issues. You will note that you are muted by default, but we will be running a live Q&A session at the end of the presentation. We have enabled the Ask Question feature. If you have any questions during the presentations, please pop them in there and we'd love to hear from you. I will be filtering the questions and putting them to the presenters when the presentation are over. And on today's webinar on the task force, we will be exploring how companies can improve the mental and physical well-being of employees. It's a very, very important topic nowadays. And what strategies and planning and processes should be adopted by organizations to ensure smooth transition from the office to remote working. A lot of people, they say this is the topic of the hour. How did we get here? Last year, we organized a roundtable discussion in the thick of the pandemics on the topic of this topic, discussing the challenges and opportunities of remote working in the areas of physical, professional, and psychological aspects. At that time, we didn't know a lot about the impact. And I think today we have enough evidence and a lot of best practices I would like to share with you. Recognizing that this is a very important topic, the Sustainability Network members asked for a new task force on remote working, which we have launched this year. And the task force has a few objectives. I would like to mention a few. The aim of the task force is to identify the issues, the challenges, whether they exist now or maybe emerge in the future on remote working, to have organizations manage remote working better and more effectively. Look at the tools available, legal frameworks, best practices, mechanisms to help managers develop the right strategies for managing remote working, because we believe it's here to stay. And we'd like to make recommendations to the larger business community here in Dubai, how to manage remote working effectively and get the best out of employees and take care of their health and well-being while working from home. In addition to this webinar, we are publishing a toolkit and working with the task force members to publish this toolkit. So on the remote working strategies and plan, if you'd like more information about this toolkit, please get in touch with us in a few months' time, and we'll be happy to update you on that. And when it's available, we'll be happy to share it with you. As you can see from the agenda, that the remote working, I think we know now with all the evidence available to us, it's a multifaceted issue. It's not a managerial issue. It's a medical issue as well. And some argue it's a social issue. And because of that, we made sure we get people from different professional backgrounds. And we are honored to have speakers from 2 professional backgrounds. As you can see from the agenda, we have someone speaker from a medical profession and speaker from the HR profession, because we believe one needs to look at both sides to have a holistic approach to manage working from home effectively. If I may, I would like to say a few words on this webinar, and before I hand over to our distinguished speakers. So far, since the pandemic, there has been a lot of evidence, a lot of research being done. And if I can summarize that in maybe one sentence, the evidence suggests to us that working from home could have negative or positive impact on the performance, health, and well-being of employees. That depends primarily on how we handle the issue. And the factors that are coming from the research that people have done, a lot of academicians have done a lot of research on this, and is level of organizational support available to employees. This is very, very important. And whether in terms of technical support, providing the laptops, the workstation, etc. This is a very important issue that will have an impact on their performance and health. The second one that is coming through most of the research is the demand of the home environment and the level of work and family conflict, this may lead to distraction at work, etc. And how do we manage this one? I think this is the debate to be had, and a lot of work needs to be done in this one to manage work. And I think a lot of maybe processes and practices need to be changed and looked at. And the third one is colleague support. If we have employees working from home, but they don't have the colleagues to support them, they don't have somebody next door to them or in the same office with them to ask for help, this might lead to a lack of communication and support from colleagues while they're working from home. Last but not least, I think the issue of, maybe this is relevant here in Dubai in the private sector, given that a lot of the employees are self-initiated expats, like maybe most of you joining us today. And maybe they rely on the work environment to get their social interactions, and the social life is around their colleagues at work. If they're cut off from this, I think this research is showing might lead to loneliness and all the health impact of loneliness on their health and performance. According to a remote working index issued by the UK-based company called Circle Group, the UAE has ranked first in the Arab world and 31st in the world in the year 2020. This was not the case because the research used to show that the UAE working from home is not common practice in the UAE before the pandemic. What this will tell us, that working from home, mandated working from home, is going to continue to some degrees and for the possible future. And this will require revisiting a lot of the common practices that organizations have. I would like to mention a few that we are going to discuss today in the webinar. The role and responsibility of organizations. Are employers responsible for their employees just within their premises? Will that extend to the home environment? And the health and safety of employees is a responsibility of employers while they're working at their premises. Is that going to extend to the work environment, to the home environment, in terms of ergonomics, health and safety, in terms of the desks and working environment? This is an issue that needs to be looked at and revisited. Job-specific issues such as role clarity, workload, performance indicators, all these things I think need to be looked at and discussed. Organizations. Organization support, such as technical support, training for managers, how to manage employees working from home, team dynamics and virtual team interactions. All this, I think, needs some looking at, and I think we need to look at that and maybe come with formal policies and procedures to manage those things. Facilitation of co-workers network. All these issues, I think, we are going to discuss today, and I look forward to our speakers to discuss this and share their expertise with us. Without further ado, I would like to hand over to our speakers, and please join me in welcoming our first speaker, Dr. Satish Kusuri, general practitioner at DMB Healthcare. Dr. Satish is a regular speaker on well-being topics, on a lot of presentations on employee well-being. Presently, he works with Aster DM Healthcare in their Aster Volunteer Mobile Medical Services, and has been in that position since November 2015. He has completed his MBBC from College of Medical Science, Bharatpur, Chitwan, Nepal, in 2007. He has a vast experience of so many years as a general practitioner in a primary healthcare center in India, and as casualty medical officer in the Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Medical Sciences, RIMS, a medical college and general hospital, Bangalore, and a few other places in India. So please join me to welcome Dr. Satish. Over to you, Dr. Satish.
Thank you, Dr. Kamal, and good morning, everyone, and hope everyone had a good breakfast, because I always start my work with a good breakfast. Many times I want to explain, like, my topic for today. First, I will start managing your mental and physical health while working from home. Mr. Said, can you please change the slide? This is my introduction. Already it's done. We'll save time going to next slide. Can you please change to next slide? Thank you. So the caption, like, work from home, I am a doctor belong to corporate social responsibility from Aster DM Healthcare LLC. So I'll be going to different corporates, different offices, the blue collar areas and remote working areas. And there we saw, I still remember the moment there is an outbreak in Wuhan regarding COVID, and slowly the cases are going high and high. Many of the people requested me to give awareness and how to work in office, what kind of measures we have to take in office to avoid this spread and all. Slowly every day I used to go and give talks on what is COVID and what is coronavirus, and like social distancing, wearing a mask, keeping hygiene, and avoid crowdings and all these things I used to explain. All of a sudden in March, I think so, I got a call and they told me there are a lot of questions coming regarding COVID, so better you sit in a Esther call center, you can answer questions to public. That time the World Health Organization has given a guideline. Once it said that now it is global, it is pandemic. The name pandemic comes, pan means total, it is everywhere now. So please be aware of this and maintain all the distance. And WHO has told clearly that avoid 3 C's. What is the 3 C's? Close contact, crowded places, crowded areas, and other one is closed ventilated rooms. So they gave a list like nightclubs. It's okay. If nightclubs is not there, fine. We can run our life, no problem. And restaurants, and okay, fine. We don't go to restaurant. We sit in home. We cook ourselves. We are fine. And many places like where group gatherings, parks, and all, slowly one after one they closed. And main important thing they told is in offices also there are many crowded areas. Office also there will be crowds. So better don't keep offices as a crowded area and avoid spreading the viruses, and you should be careful when you are working in office. Then only one solution every organization got, many of the organizations got, is work from home. If we are in home, we'll be safe. Then everyone thought, okay, it's a good option. We have a good internet facility, it's fine, and we are in home, and everyone went from offline to online. We are connecting with each others, and we are sharing our work patterns, and we changed our work patterns. It's fine, but it doesn't take much time. People, they saw like there is work-related injuries, particular to home. There is decline in mental and physical health related to work from home. These things gave a challenge. Slowly we are getting a calls in such a way, sir, now we are work from home, we are safe. I'm getting a regular cough, or I'm getting neck pain, I'm getting a low back pain. It's not COVID, because I read in some social media that only back pain will be there for few people if you are COVID. It's not COVID, right? If I say it's not COVID, they're fine. And they don't think that something is going bad, because pain is an indication of something is going bad in body, like wrong inside body. That we have to rule out. And slowly we doctors sit together and discuss the many, after taking 10,000 calls, we saw it and we discussed what is this complaints, like every day they are telling they have a neck pain, low back pain and all. Then we thought, it is better we treat mental health than physical health. We thought that there is a particular factor which is giving, there are some stressors. These things we concentrated and slowly taking history from them. How many hours you work per day? They tell, sir, we open the system and from morning to night we sit with it. And children at home is a challenge. And there are many challenges. Then we thought like, okay, work from home, few things if they change, there will be some stress busters. They can be relieve the stressors and all. That's what this slide says about. Can you change to next slide, sir? And the benefits of the work from home, like we'll get a flexible hours, we can work whenever we want, we can have a relaxation and all. Other than that, it showed some negative impact in the health. That's what I want to. And when I work from home, I don't know how to work. I'm not clear how to work, how the system works. And differentiation between work and home, it's a very difficult task for me. Like my son, he has got online classes. He'll be sitting with the same another system, and he have to listen it. And my wife, she is work from home, she have another task again. This different tasks, different challenges leading to stress. And everyone knows like the term stress, but what exactly happens, what is stress, I want to tell. I'll give you one example. Suppose we are going in a bus, and bus is going very smoothly, and we got a good sleep, we are sleeping, and bus is moving. Suddenly driver applied a sudden brake. Immediately we wake up and just we touch the opposite seat and we balance ourselves. and we'll bright open our eyes. What happened? That jerk, that reaction, all of a sudden changes and reaction, the body reaction is nothing but stress. And suppose you have a very, very costly cell phone, you are just sending a message and all of a sudden it has slipped from your hand. Immediately you react and try to catch that before falling. That reaction, body responds to a sudden reaction, that the process is called stress, a sudden stress. Okay, and please can you change to next slide, sir? Yeah, I want to tell this because first I keep like body response to stress slide. What happens when we have stress? Immediately our brain recognizes whatever we see, our brain recognizes it, and the neuronal effects, the nerves immediately give a reflex to protect ourselves from the sudden action done, or sudden reaction, or sudden accident, or sudden incident, which is not a regular one. For that, immediate our nerves, with a reflex, it will try to catch, it will balance, and it prevents us from falling or from any other situations. But there is a hormonal reaction also occurs. There is endocrine changes occurs inside body, which from the brain there is a gland, pituitary gland, and this gland immediately tells to the kidney this person is in stress. We do one thing, release the stress controlling hormones. Those hormones are, we call it as catecholamines and cortisol, which just lays above from the adrenal gland. This gland just lies above the kidneys. I saw in picture, you can see that. From the adrenal gland, immediately the chemical releases, and these catecholamines thinks, okay, this person is in stress now. So to cope up with this, he needs some energy fast, and his vision should be good, and his reaction should be faster to save from. That's what we tell flight or fight. Like, whether to fly away from the situation or to fight against the situation, this chemical will do that miracles. See this now. And once we need energy, blood should be move faster inside, because blood is the only transport we have to give energy or to take out waste from the body. So this transport system should be very faster, and this transport system will be faster only when heart pumps blood faster. When heart pumps blood faster, the blood movement will be faster. And when this blood movement is faster, your brain gets proper energy, your organs get proper energy to tackle that stressful situation. But problem comes here, every time we go for a stress, the heart rate increases. Like regular increase in heart rate, we don't want it. And whatever stores in your liver, the sugar stores in your liver, these enzymes, these hormones will come out and take out all the energy from the stores and release it to the blood, so that the body can use that energy for time being to cope up the stress. And it's fine. And problem comes here, slowly cortisol again comes. Once this corticosteroid comes out, glucocorticoids, comes out from the kidney, and this cortisol have a very good effect as well as bad effects also. Long term stress we are worried on now, because everyday release of such continuous, like we are in continuous stress and release of these hormones continuously, this cortisol kills your immunity. Like, to form, like when COVID was there, we are talking about antibodies. When any foreign body enters into our body have to react to it and form an antibody to protect us from the diseases. But this cortisol, it will go, and whatever chain reactions occurs to form an antibody, it will stop the chain. Once cortisol stop that change, your weakened immune system, like your immune system will go low. That's why people in stress will get repeated upper respiratory tract infections. Sir, I get repeated cold, I get repeated cough, and they go to hospital, they check all the blood parameters are normal, everything is normal, but this symptom is not getting relieved. And that's why we advise them to go to psychiatrist and check with him once, if in case the medicines are not working. And the other one is like if repeated and cortisol, once the sugars are very high, it don't allow insulin to come out from the pancreas. It don't allow insulin to work. This cortisol, once the insulin doesn't work in the body, the actual condition we call it as diabetes mellitus. What we listen every day, the regular lifestyle diseases, lifestyle disorders. Once you eat a breakfast or lunch or dinner, the energy whichever we get from that food, it enters into the blood. Once your blood level of glucose reaches above 180 milligrams per deciliter, that your pancreas and brain gives your brain gives one information to the pancreas, release the insulin, so that these sugar levels can be controlled, taking the insulin, sugar glucose to the cells and open the key and open the cell wall, throw the sugars glucose into the cell and lock it. so that the cells can use this glucose. Your brain can, in few areas only, your brain is dependent on insulin, or else this continuous blood sugar supply is needed for your brain too. But once insulin is not there, your blood sugars will go high because of this cortisol, and repeated stress, high release of cortisol, and low maintenance of blood sugar levels leads to diabetes mellitus. And your insulin won't react in proper time if you continuously keep your body in stress. So to control diabetes and all, better you reduce stress. Stress is very good actually. Stress gives you alertness. Stress gives you intelligence. Stress gives you knowledge. Stress gives you promotion. Stress gives you salary. But up to a limit. If anything goes beyond the limit, it works like poison. Whether it is cortisol, whether it is money, whether it is love, anything which goes beyond its limit, it works like poison. So everything we have to balance in our life. And other thing is, once this stress is high, all your blood vessels will constrict itself. Once the blood vessel diameters goes low, the pressure increases, and this blood pressure increase may go beyond the range of the normal blood pressure range, which we don't want to go high. It will go high, and continuous stress leads to high blood pressures. And another main effect is, if you are in stress and if cortisol release is continuous, it won't allow your intestine systems to absorb, your gastrointestinal system to absorb calcium. And calcium is very important for your body, for your contraction and relaxation. If calcium is low, your body will start trembling. Why? Because it can't contract or relax. It will be in a middle position. It will start shaking. So this calcium should be maintained properly always. And the person with stress, the calcium levels will go low. Once the calcium levels will go low, body needs a lot of calcium in stress, because your heart have to pump, your muscles have to work. It needs calcium. And whatever stores in our bones, the calcium starts resorption, bone resorption. The calcium comes out from the bone to give supply to your body. So once the calcium comes out from your bone, then the bones will become weaker. That's what you get, continuous muscle pain, joint pains. But once you go check, all the parameters will come normal. And this stress, anxiety, depression is maybe the main culprits behind which you have to talk with any of your friend or doctor who you trust a lot. This is very important. And suppose if cortisol is going very high, it particularly acts on one particular parts of brain which lessen your memory. So when we are in high stress, the memory power will go low. And when we are in high stress, immunity will go low. When you are in high stress, joint pains will come. When you are in high stress and it's not controlled, it may lead to anxiety, depression. And when you are in high stress, it leads to different kind of headaches. It won't relieve even if you take medicines continuously also. Even the medicines may give side effects. And you will be checking in multiple directions, but the answer is like, reduce stress, check with a psychiatrist. And once you have any continuous stress, it starts irritable bowel syndrome, like hyperacidity, like secretions in the stomach will be more, and it leads to a lot of acidity. And whenever, now also I think few people after having breakfast or before going to office, they'll be rushing to toilet once and coming back, because this stress and all causes irritable bowel syndrome, and it causes a lot of increase in peristalsis and acidity, and feel like going to toilets. And sir, can you please change to next slide, sir? This actually this even when I was in plus one plus two, my room also will be the same. Like if you see, I'll ask a question, whoever is seeing this slide, can you find a cell phone in this picture? I don't want to take much time, but see, everyone is trying to look very clear. You are wide opening your eyes. You know what? Because of the sympathetic activity stimulation in this stress, your brain tells, wide open the eyes, zoom with your pupil. Then only you can see. If I'm not on right side, there is a table, and table just in the corner, starting corner, there is a cell phone. If you can see in the picture now. This visual cortex, whatever you see, this image have to go to the brain, and brain have to analyze and justify whether it is important or not. But if you keep your office like work from home, if your room is in this way, definitely it leads to a lot of stress. And just if your manager or boss need a very important document and you kept it somewhere, and if in this room to search it, it leads to a lot of stress. And in this room, I don't think there is a positive atmosphere. This negative working environment can definitely give a bad impact to your mental and physical health. So next slide, sir, please. See, these are like definitely, thanks for this lady who shared the picture, because she accepted for this picture. I had to thank, and I took it from the internet. See this, there will be family challenges inside. Children below 5 years, mother can't manage multiple tasks in home, pets in home, and work from home. That's what we call not juggling work and childcare as impossible. But I heard from the Dubai chambers yesterday on a discussion that now they said it's okay to be in meeting with children. That's a very good thing. That's what we say in a healthy environment, giving a chance for the employee to work in a healthy environment. To reduce the stress. Okay, it's fine. Children are there. Schedule yourself, and I'll tell you next. Next slide, sir, please. See, and now the biggest challenge actually after work from home started, many more employees has now adopted to work from home. The main challenge is loneliness, stress, anxiety, and depression, and very difficult to find out these things. I'll tell you, once we got a stress, anxiety, and depression, we get chest palpitations, increase in heart rate, all of a sudden headache, and severe chest tightness, chest pain will be there, severe joint pains will be there. We think that something is there, like might be it's a heart attack, or might is a heart related issue, or might be it is a respiratory related issue. We go to the clinics, we go to the doctors, we check everything, and all reports will come normal. Then they gave a term, now in medical terminology, they gave a term stress related unexplained medical reasons. That's the main now, because all are normal, all parameters, whatever medical tests are, they're all done, all are normal, but the person is not feeling that. But once this patient goes to a psychiatrist and explain his issues, psychiatrist, once he says that this is the thing happening with you after taking the history, many of the psychiatrists yesterday I saw in interviews, they told like patients start crying. Yes, sir, this is the correct thing happening with me. So it's okay to go to a psychiatrist when you have such symptoms and when all the parameters has come normal. Go talk to a psychiatrist. And loneliness for sure, when we are alone in home and no one is there, but sitting 8 hours continuously in a system, when we are stressed, either we work on any social media one or we play video games and all, at that time it may give relief, but long term it affects a lot. So further, there are remedies. In the next slide, I'm going to explain. Can you please change the slide, sir? And these are the ways. Like this is actually, if I have to tell, this slide we kept it before pandemic. Previously, I used to talk about stress, anxiety in corporate lifestyle in offices, and same will apply to home with few more lines added in this. First is share responsibilities at home. Just try to read it. Share responsibilities at home. Be realistic when you set goals. Stop stressing over things you can't do anything about, and manage your time efficiently. Take time out of yourself. Talk to someone if you are in trouble. Avoid caffeine. Exercise daily. Meditate or do yoga and get more sleep. These are the common things I tell you. You can avoid, like you can prevent even hundreds of diseases if you do this actually. Next slide, sir. See this. Sharing responsibilities. This picture actually clearly describes. See, the table is healthy. If you see also, wife is working there with laptop and husband is taking care of children because that time he doesn't have work. He can manage the time, and the table is full of good fruits and all. And this is a healthy atmosphere, and this is a positive working atmosphere also, and positive working environment. But this won't happen with everyone. In my room, I don't have such a big room. In my house, I don't have such a big room. And some people, they'll be in a sharing accommodations where three people share one room. And some people, they have poor, they don't have any ventilation properly in home. Some people, they don't have a good working environment in their room. There are a lot many challenges, but we have to just upgrade our work office in a different way. I'll tell you. Next slide, sir. See this. Have a place basically to work. This one, if you see clearly in this picture, what I want to tell is just arrange yourself. Whatever limited facilities you have, first try to keep things in an organized way, and have a timetable on your table, and just write whatever challenges we have. In that, how many challenges we can overcome. This is very important because sometimes even few things we can change ourselves in home, or if nothing is working, just check in your budget also. Can we change to another room where I can get a facility in it within my budget? Better change the room. Or else if two people are working in a sharing accommodation, just talk together and sort it out and write yourself which time you can be active and which time he can be active. And just authorize, like, pre-planned mails. Tomorrow at this time to this time, please be available for the meeting. So that time the person will be planned accordingly, and he can, so time saving and planning the schedules. And whenever we sit in office, we feel like sometimes going for a coffee and all, but in home, not like every time we go and just press a button and we get coffee. We have to prepare our coffee and everything if you are sharing accommodations or we are staying alone. Okay, so have a time schedule, keep a work environment good, and there should be proper ventilation in your room. Bright light should be there, and the pictures inside the room also should give a positive effect. It's not that someone is crying and you keep a picture in front of. If you see that and we are in stress, and it will give even more stress. And when you are feel stressed, just close the system, wait for 10 minutes, go do a simple stretch exercises and have some favorite fruits and all. Be relaxed for 10 to 20 minutes and come back. And it's okay to take breaks. Take a smaller breaks in between your work. That will definitely help. Next, sir. Next slide, please. And effective communication. This really, I also face many challenges. Even now also I have a doubt, my talk, whether my sound is good or not, whether everyone can understand or not. So we checked, prior check now we did. Half an hour before we sit, we checked our voices and effective communication. Suppose if I send one message, there is a research clearly saying that whatever we write in a mail, we think that we are 100% clear. But the other side, the person may understand max of 50 to 60% only. So instead of confusions and all, have effective communication, write your content very clear, and just try to talk if you have a doubt, and try to explain your problems to your friends. And if anything is not working, have a social distance maintained areas where you can have some little meetings and one-on-one, or at least two people can maintain the distance, these things, and just talk what exactly the boss needed and what exactly we have to do, and a correlation, teamwork with the communications. Now with good effective communication, we can overcome this. Okay, next slide, sir. And this one is important. Like I told you already, recently I worked for almost 6 months in a ward, because I have to work in a ward. I went there and I saw 30 years, 40 years, very engaged people with low back pain, very engaged people. And once the MRI is done, because the low back pain radiating to lower thighs, or low back pain radiating to one limb, lower limb, or neck pain which is radiating to the left shoulder or left arm, or right shoulder or right arm. And once we see the scan and all, like MRI and all, we see there is a prolapse or herniation or disc prolapse, which is in an initial stage, or already there is a huge bulge which have to be get operated immediately, for future safety and all. Only because the person didn't modified his body mechanics, ergonomics. You have to check whether when I'm sitting in a chair, I should keep my spine straight, so that the weight won't be on my spine. And when I'm talking to someone, I have to sit straight and talk. And when I'm operating any laptop or computer, just make sure the computer should be almost near to my chest level. And when I'm operating, just I have to keep my hands straight, and just straight, and we should not flex our wrist when we are typing. And these are the pictures I kept. This is from my physiotherapist who shared these pictures to show when body mechanics have to be explained. If you see when you are checking with a phone and all, don't bend your neck completely and see, it will leads to cervicalgia and many spine issues. And when we are sitting also, if you don't have any lumbar support, back support, keep a small pillow and sit, it will help. And keep a laptop stand so that your elbow will be almost equal to the laptop range, and it will help you. And while walking also, walk straight, the posture you can see. And while running also, these postures will help you weight bearing equally to all the joints, not in particular one joint. So we can avoid these pains and all, prolapse and joint issues. These things we can help. Next slide, sir. And almost, this slide is 2 years before. WHO was declared, like, this year we talk about depression, because many people in corporate lifestyle, and this isolations and all, isolation issues is happening, and loneliness. And in the offices we see a few people, if you notice that they are not able to focus on the work, They are feeling guilty that I can't cope up with the work. Rest are all doing work. They won't keep concentration on their body and their looks. They don't even try to keep their buttons properly. They don't dress properly. They're not grooming hair, and they're not answering properly. And for small issues, they get very angry, and all this anxiety might be a depression. If someone come and talk to you regarding this, just don't tell them, it will be with everyone. Just try to think on it, and if in case needed, just give a positive counseling. And if you have such symptoms also, we have to talk to a friend who always in a positive line. We should not talk to people who are in always negative line. Okay, if this thing is there, then it might be a disease. You make fun of that. This thing should not be. If some person share a problem with you, it means he is trusting you. You have to keep it very professional secretly. Professional secrecy is maintained, and we have to check with a doctor who can help, or else we have to keep calm. We should not make fun of him, or we should not make things in an open area. So he may go to even depression, and he may self-harm himself. If you find anything like the person can't be focused and his behavior is abnormal, which is not the regular one, better check with him and inform to your concerned person, and better advise him to go to any physician or any psychiatrist. Next, sir. Next. And these are lifestyle disorders. And coming to physical health, I always tell, just one type of good lifestyle we have to maintain. What is that lifestyle like? Do exercise every day. If you go to any doctor, if he finds like any pre-hypertension or pre-diabetes or already diabetic or hypertension or obesity, or like the person is not feeling well, and any cholesterol issues are there, and hyperlipidemia as it is, any of things, the doctor will advise you few things. Those are like, do regular exercise, have a good diet, good and healthy diet and balanced diet, sleep properly. These important things which we have to look on it. See, now in this common lifestyle diseases, we see many things like obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, followed by any hypertension and diabetes, and chronic backaches will come. This are all explained already. I want to just check. Next slide, sir. To prevent this, next slide. See, this is important slide. See, exercise daily. Why we have to do exercise every day? There is a research says that if you start doing exercise, your brain, heart, lung, bones, muscle, and stomach will be healthy. How it will be healthy, I'll tell you. Once, suppose if any smoker is there, he smokes every day, his lungs vital capacity will go low. Vital capacity means the amount of oxygen taking inside and giving it to the blood and transport to all the body. This amount of oxygen taking capacity will come low if he is a smoker. The vital capacity should be good. To maintain that vital capacity, a simple deep breathing exercise is very, very important. Just take a slow deep breath 4 to 5 seconds and release it 6 to 10 seconds. Take 6 to 10 seconds. This will help your mind and brain coordination and lung coordinations very good, and vital capacity will be good. And next thing is, once we do exercise, your sugar levels in the body. Suppose if I eat something, that insulin have to open the door to enter the sugar from blood to the cell. But if you do exercise, that time GLUT4 receptors are there, which come out into inside from the cell to the periphery and takes the sugar and takes inside the cell without the help of insulin. I repeat again. Once you do exercise, these cells which have to get energy through the insulin support, now no need of insulin. It opens a channel with a receptor by name GLUT4. It come out and takes the sugar and goes in without the help of insulin. So if sugars are going inside cell without the help of insulin, it means you are managing diabetes. Diabetes, the challenge is the insulin is not opening the door and blood sugar are still remain in the blood only. And we check the blood, the sugars shows high. So once you do exercise, definitely it shows a big difference. And if you are a pre-diabetic, you can skip the medication with this good lifestyle, this exercise and good health and all. Another thing, once you do exercise, your brain releases a hormone called endorphin. Endorphin gives a anesthetic effect, like you feel very free, you feel light weight, and you just feel, it initiates a reward center in you. This happens with the smokers. That's why they got addicted to smoking. Once they take smoke, the dopaminergic pathway will release the reward center. That time you feel that I am the boss in this world. And this continuously goes and gives pleasure. And one cigarette, next day 2 cigarettes, it gives pleasure. Next day 7 cigarettes, it gives pleasure. Then they keep on addicted to the smoking and all. That's why they smoke. That's why if you do exercise, endorphin release will be there, and it is a stress buster. Definitely it reduces your stress and self-esteem increases. And especially if you do morning exercise, you expose to sun rays. Once you expose to ultraviolet rays, the peripheral fat cells, which is containing inactive vitamin D, will become active vitamin D, and this active vitamin D will keep your calcium metabolism good, and it can keep your bones strong, and your joint pains will come down. And good vitamin D also boosts up your immunity. If you keep on sitting in home, don't going anywhere for months, fearing of COVID, definitely you can check yourself the vitamin D levels. Now it will be very less. And next slide, sir. And definitely no added salt. I'll tell you why everyone says, once a blood pressure patient has come and we check the blood pressures and doctor starts writing 120 by 80, 140 by 90 or 160 by 100. The top number says the pressure of your heart contraction. Once the heart contracts, the blood inside the heart should come out to the blood vessels for the supply and to go to the lungs, to the different organs. So the pressure of the heart contraction should be 110 to 120 millimeters of mercury. That's what the top number says, the systolic blood pressure says. And the down number says, once the heart contract with the pressure, the blood should move in the blood vessels with some pressure. That pressure should be between 70 to 80 millimeters of mercury. The down number says, the diastolic blood pressure. And the problem comes here, it depends on your kidney functions, it depends on your body volumes and electrolytes. If you take salt is nothing but sodium chloride. The sodium inside this sodium chloride salt, it is a true lover of water. Wherever sodium is there, water will go and adhere to it. And this water, if you retention of more water inside the body, there will be increase in the fluid volume. And if fluid volume is increased, suppose if the tank is full of water, if you open the pipe, the water will come with high pressure. The same way, if your volume is high, the pressure goes high and leads to hypertension. That's why, and this salt is killing many people as per World Health Organization statistics, it is killing a lot of people. So keep a limit of 5 to 6 grams of salt per day, max of 10 grams. If you are, it depends on the race also, and not exceed that. One pinch of salt is approximately, it comes around 2.5 grams. So 2 to 3 pinches is fine. And I no need to tell about smoking. I think on the box, on the cigarette box only, it is clear that smoking kills. Smoking causes infertility. Smoking kills the blood vessels. Smoking causes heart attacks. Many things, 200 toxic things in the cigarette can cause any damage to your body from tip of hair to tip of toe, any cancer. We can blindly write smoking is the reason. Intrauterine growth retardations in the pregnancy because of smoking. And some people have a different alternatives. Sir, this is vape, this is shisha, it doesn't contain anything. See, one shisha, hookah, is equal to almost 200 cigarettes. Our lungs are meant to take oxygen and take out carbon dioxide from the body, which is liberated by our body. Simple. If you give any other gases in any form, definitely it will kill. No doubt in it. And don't ask, whether this one is good or that one, all are bad. Have a fresh air. That is very good. And alcohol, and few reasons I tell, stop alcohol. But as per the guidelines, there are research like 1 cup of wine or a particular 1 peg of whiskey or something. It protects heart. But problem comes here, how many of us can stop with 1 peg? That's challenge here. If you are in stress, we may misuse this alcohol. If you are in a euphoria or if you are enjoying, we may get addicted to this alcohol. So stop it. If in case you are taking, max of 1 cup is fine. And their research says that a little benefit of alcohol is there. But if you go beyond that, it will shut down your liver. Once shutdown of the liver occurs, no antibodies, no plasma proteins, no immunity, and it kills the liver and lot of issues. So, and sugars, I tell you, sugar actually in our medical terminology is glucose, the energy molecules. But taking sugars, extra sugars, will leads to obesity, will leads to increase in triglycerides, especially factory made sugar foods, and all leads to increase in triglycerides. It will worsen the diabetic effects. And sugars also should be controlled, max of like 50%, 50 grams. Like if you are taking 2000 calories per day, we have to manage a particular sugar max of 5 to 10 spoons, not beyond that. If you can reduce to below 5 spoons, it is very good. Tablespoons, I mean to say. Next, sir, please. Next slide, sir. This is healthy food pyramid. Lot of diet plans I can see. If you open any of the social media, there are hundreds of diet plans explained. Keto diet, low carb diet, Atkins diet. There are different type of diets. Previously, actually, we used diet plans only for the deceased. Suppose if I have uric acid issue, I have to take low protein diet. If I am a diabetic, I have to take low sugar diet. If I have a morbid obesity and which is not controlled with my regular balanced diet and with exercise and all, and I don't have any other issues, that time a diet plan is necessary, and that too we have to take any diet plan under a medical supervision or under a dietitian guidance. We should not start any diet plans with ourselves. I'll tell you one example. Suppose a ketogenic diet, what we call keto diet. Keto diet definitely gives a very good result in reducing your body weight. But suppose if you are only just overweight or your normal weight, you feel any truncal obesity and all, I'll tell you. Once body starts using the fat instead of carbohydrates, the fat releases ketones. And these ketones have one issue. These ketones make your blood into acid. Like the pH of your blood should be between 7, a max of 7.2, 7.3 around. It may go to 6.4, 6.1. That is ketogenesis. This is called ketoacidosis. And that time your uric acid, your creatinine, these things may go high and your kidney will be in trouble. And it won't occur to everyone, but few cases are there which we saw. And once there is acid, all your body cells, all your 37 trillions of cells will start giving out the fluid from their cells to neutralize the acid, and cells shrinkage will occur, and all your heart, respiratory, the muscle power will go down, and it leads to a lot of worsening effects in your body. So if you are just planning any diet plan, definitely if you are doing it, it's good. But under a medical supervision, under a dietitian guidance, please do it so that they know what are the side effects of this, what are the worst effects of it, and how to overcome that. They'll give you proper guidance. Don't start by yourself. The best one is, suppose if you have a 9-inch plate or any your dinner plate or lunch plate, 65% of your plate should occupy with carbohydrates and 20% with fat, and rest 15% should be with proteins. This is the exact balanced diet with vegetables. Any salad you like max per day you can take up to 400 grams of any color vegetables, fruit salads, mixed salads and all. This will give a good fiber, vitamins and minerals, because vitamins and minerals will be more in a fresh uncooked one. So better vegetables and fruits are the best sources for you. And if you take protein on time, you get a good immunity. uh, uh, immunity. And if you take fat, definitely fat, all your hormones, all your stress hormones, all your steroid hormones, all are made of cholesterol. And so cholesterol is definitely needed. Even your heart needs cholesterol, but it doesn't mean you take a lot of fat. That 20% fat is required. That's what we call a healthy and balanced diet. So this pyramid definitely helps you. You can check in your World Health Organization lines also. You can get this pyramid. In carbohydrates, I tell these sugars, your brain is obligatory parasite of glucose. If you don't give glucose for more than 2 minutes, the person may go to coma also. Even if you give trillions of protein also, your first brain plans to convert into glucose and take it. Even if you give a lot of fat, other than that, it will start converting the fats into glucose and take it. Brain needs only glucose. Glucose is the only fuel for the brain. That's why brain is the exemption for the insulin. Brain doesn't need insulin to take glucose inside. It is the only area, but only one area is there which stops your hunger, need insulin. If insulin is not there, hunger is not stopped, and you feel like eating every day. That is polyphagia, which we see in diabetes mellitus. People eat a lot because the insulin don't work in them, and the satiety center, which kills the hunger, won't act. And if it won't act, you feel like hunger. The hunger center will be stimulated all the time, and you feel like eating. Okay, please, sir, next slide. Water, I tell you, this is very, very, very important, because your body, almost 70% of your body weight is of water. And this water, and the only transport, the one and only transport in your body is blood. Blood is the one which carries nutrients to all the organs of your body. Blood is the one which take out all the excreted things from the cells, from the body, and it will throw out wherever it have to throw, through the kidneys, through the feces, all the things. Blood is the only transport you get. And blood is 90% composed of water only. If you don't drink water, it means your transport system in your body is slow. Once the transport system in your body is slow, the energy distribution is slow, and the excretion on takeout wastage from the cells will become low, and these things. And always keep yourself hydrated. And there are many benefits with your no. If you are in dehydration, your blood pressures will fall down, and it leads to shock effects and all. That's why we always tell drink more water. And if you drink water, you look healthy, your skin looks glowing, and definitely to prevent aging also, water is one of the remedy. You have to drink more water. At least we suggest 2.5 to 3 liters of water per day is must for everyone. Even for your joints also, they need some liquids as lubricant, which we call synovial fluid, and these also with water. If you don't drink water, there also problems will come. And so next slide, please. And once you are working from home, coming back, working from home, if you feel like you are just got burnout or exhausted, close the system. No worries, close the system, or just tell to your person who is waiting for you, just I need some time. Take 20 to 30 minutes. Go do your work. Just spend time outdoors. Go outside in between. Suppose now the work is finished. Go out, just expose, see the public, and go to any park area, maintaining this COVID-19 preventive measures like social distancing and all. Spend time, do things you enjoy during non-work hours, like going for a ride. And many researchers say, if you go out and see the greenery or any sceneries, the stress levels will come down, and definitely it will boost up your confidence for sure. And two friends, like we are going and just talking and sharing the problems, your stress levels will come down. And don't go out to get a cigarette and relax. Don't go out to have a coffee too much and relax, because caffeine increases your sympathetic system, it increases your heart rate, and already you are in stress and you are making even more stress. So especially when you are in stress, please reduce taking caffeine. Okay, next one, sir. And sleep. I tell you, sleep. If I am stressed, I sleep. I personally see the change. If you are stressed, really, problem comes here. Once we there is a circadian rhythm, like we have a biological clock in our brain, and this clock is mainly maintained by a pineal gland melatonin secretion. Suppose when we are in a bus moving with the swinging movements, we'll sleep. When the room is dim, no one is talking, we will sleep. And when we got monotonous talk in a show, like I'm talking, you are listening, you feel sleepy. That's a normal thing. That's a normal physiology. No, these are provocators. If you are reading a book which is boring, you feel asleep. This is one. And main thing is, there is a system in your brain that is reticular activating system. If it is stimulated, you don't get sleep. And when we are in stress, this cortisol always stimulates that. And that's why, in people with high stress, we don't get sleep. Insomnia. People, I'm sleepless, sir. I'm not getting sleep because this. And when you put on the light, these rays will activate the reticular activating system. This one is because when we sit in a dark light, like sunlight room and all, that's why in workstations also bright light should be there. This reticular activating system will be good, and you don't get sleep. Once there is a dim light, this reticular activating system will be dull and people will be asleep. So keep particular hours for sleep. That is very good. And if you have a time per day, I suggest continuous sleep, especially early to bed, early to wake up, I say, because the cortisol release will be very good in the morning, which helps you to control the stress. If in case if you have any issues, you can think in the early morning with fresh brain. And all night, these steroids can repair your body. This stress controlling hormones can repair your body and keep your body ready for the next day. So sleep properly, have a very good sleep, and make sure don't watch any crime news before sleep. And crime news leads to insecurity, bad dreams. And I see many cases which I don't want to explain here. People try to do many things while they sleep unknowingly. They don't know that they are doing that, but watching a crime, repeatedly watching a crime, so reading a crime stories continuously, this will lead to insecurity and even sometimes anxiety also. Now also, if you see, I'll tell you an example. If you see a flight crash every day in news from morning to evening, and next day we are flying, and suppose there is slight jerk in the flight also, your heart rate will increase. That insecure feeling will occur. Please don't watch crime regularly. It's not good. Always watch a comedy shows, and keep your, these are all stress busters. Spend time with your family and have a good sleep, have a good diet. And next slide, sir. Next slide, please. This is the overall thing which I want to tell. After every talk, like any disease we talk, anything we say, doctors have to end in this: exercise regularly. Definitely it will give lot many good effects to you. And eat healthy. Definitely plan a balanced and good diet, and drink plenty of water. This is very much important to keep yourself hydrated and keep your all metabolic rates and body functions in an appropriate way. And this all, if you do, definitely a part of stress can be reduced. And I'm telling you, don't blame stress. Stress is gold. Work stress is gold. If I had to say from my side, because of work I am getting salary and all my things are running smooth. If I don't have work, I can't even imagine what's going to happen. Work is good, but you have to control that stress. Work is good, it doesn't mean that we keep on working. Always keep a positive environment in your work, keep a proper schedule, keep time for everything. Definitely you can see that you are mentally and physically fit. Okay. And next slide, sir. And I have to thank all this because I get those pictures, information, everything from these websites, and I thank you for that. And working online is also very good now because I got a lot of information, latest information also. And sir, next slide, sir. And thank you so much. And if I take more time, I'm sorry for that, but thank you so much.
What shall I say? Thank you so much, Dr. Satish, for a very, very insightful presentation and very important advice. I think we all learned a lot today. I think I don't know whether I should go for an exercise after your talk, and I don't know. But thank you so much. I think I'm looking at the chat box and it's very well received, and people are asking for it to maybe receive it and listen to it later. Thank you so much again. Very, very insightful presentation. We all learned a lot today from your presentation. And as I said, working from home is a multifaceted issue. It has the medical side that Dr. Satish, I think, covers very, very well, but also managerial issue. It's a management issue. How do we manage working from home to get the best out of people? And while working from home, employees are sustaining their health and well-being at the same time. And for that, we have Jihan Saghir. It's a pleasure and honor to have Jihan with us today. And Jihan is country HR, Middle East, Saudi Arabia, HP. Jihan works with HP Middle East as the country HR lead for Middle East and Saudi Arabia. She has over 10 years of human resource experience across a variety of industries, and mainly FMCG, jewelry, pharmaceutical, and technology. She holds a bachelor degree in business management and CIPD in HR management. Thank you, Jihan, for being with us, and over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Kamel. I would like to first echo you and thank Dr. Satish on this very informative session. It was, I really enjoyed it, and I've seen that the crowd has also enjoyed it. So thank you, Dr. Satish. Again, thank you for having me and for the introduction and for giving me the opportunity to present on behalf of HP on this very important topic on work from home. This week, actually, March 15th marked our first year anniversary as HP for working from home. It has been 1 year since working from home became a standard, it became a new norm, and our PCs now in front of us have become our maybe only windows to the outside world. This transition was definitely not an easy one, and it's understandable that every company had its own struggles, which would differ based on their industry, their operations, and the client base that they cater to. And before going into the details of the different actions and steps that HP has made to transition into a full work from home mode, it is worth mentioning that the past year and till date, we as a team at HP have proven that working from home and that transition was successful, and that we were able to be as productive as always, and that our deliverables and engagement rates were kept high. So on our first slide, if you please, I will be talking about different themes or categories, as you see, that each has its equal importance that we took to make sure that our colleagues were able to perform their jobs normally from their homes. The first category is obviously equipment availability. Start with our employees normally and based on the nature of our business are equipped to conduct business at any point of time from any place. However, and at the beginning of the pandemic, and as we were asked to fully work from home, we asked our employees to pick up whatever equipment additional that they think would be needed from the office, not only to perform their job fully, but also to be at the most possible comfort as they work. And then halfway through the year, a global initiative was launched, allowing employees to purchase additional equipment to set up home offices and reimburse that value from the company. This was to ensure not only effectiveness of work, but also the well-being of our employees, as purchases at that time were mainly targeting ergonomic chairs, for example. And that was taken into consideration that the fact that the length of working from home wasn't anticipated. And of course, these options are available for new joiners to our team. On top of what have been mentioned, we perform continuous checkups, not only on the needs of our team members, but also on the changes that may arise in terms of local legislations and regulations to ensure that we are abiding by local laws and whatever changes that could bring. In certain countries, companies are obliged, for example, to compensate for home office setup, which is not the case yet to say at, for example, UAE or majority of the companies in the Middle East. But we were trying to be leading, and that is why, as I mentioned, we have provided that reimbursement options to our employees. The second point, as you can see on the slide, is tools and processes. And here it is, of course, on the side to equipment availability that I have just mentioned. And by tools, we mean ensuring that all of the accesses, the applications, and the connectivity needs of our employees are met. And for that, HP was able to quickly cope and adjust to the change and provide its staff with multiple platforms to communicate with each other and with clients and partners. So you see, for example, here we are communicating on Zoom. Some other companies are using Teams or maybe still Skype. So we have the variety of tools that are available so that we are not limited to one or two. And of course, we provided a solid infrastructure with easy access to technical support whenever needed. So we have, instead of our IT colleagues at the office, we have different applications that we can log into, even not online, to use technical support or to reach out to tech colleagues. Moreover, when we talk about processes, it's not only relevant to business processes. So for me as HR, I need my accesses to my HR tools and systems, but is also talking on a larger scope. So one of the main processes that we follow as HP and that enabled us to transition in a successful mode was actually a BCP or a business continuity plan. This is an exercise that before COVID, thankfully, we were doing at HP every year, where we prepare ourselves for any scenario that would involve an emergency in which we need to work from multiple locations. And first and foremost, we need to ensure the safety of our employees and their families and successful continuation, definitely, of our operations. And fortunate for us at UAE, the local crisis management team had just completed its BCP plan late February 2020, which was right before going into lockdown and right before moving to work from home. And at that time, we had a drill which pretty much prepared us at that time to work from home. And without it, maybe we wouldn't have been successful in this transition. So it's I would highly recommend that every company would have a BCP plan to have, for example, its employees' addresses kept confidentially, of course, maintaining sensitive private data, to have contact information, to make sure that its employees have access to any tools or equipment that they need that will enable them to perform productively from any location. Moving to the third point, and this is a very important point, manager empowerment. As you heard me speak before on equipment availability or on tools and processes, you can see that during the rollout of different initiatives, a lot of parties are involved to ensure successful work from home, be it IT or HR or local or global even leadership. But although there's a big team that is working in the background that involves multiple functions, it is obvious that the bulk of the work and the responsibility actually lies with the line managers. Managers were key in this process to ensure the workflow has continued, to ensure the productivity of the teams, the individuals, and the overall business. They remain the main point of contact and the ones that normally their team members have the most interaction with. Empowering managers is actually not a new concept for HP, as this has been a strategy that has been followed since long, and we continue to do so. During the pandemic, managers were urged to follow the best ways that they saw actually to lead their teams and to manage them. And there wasn't one size fit all approach that was enforced on the team members or the managers. So each team, based on their responsibilities, their position in the overall operation, had different work modes, different working hours even, scheduled different meetings, different calls, and they even managed their performance in different ways. And not only that, but also managers took additionally the responsibility indirectly to ensure the well-being of their teams and to flag out any issues that may arise to me, to the local HR, or even to senior management. All of this was actually a lot of additional work for HP to do. To start with, the culture of HP as part of its strategy is mainly to empower managers and to have them always equipped to support their teams in the best way possible. This hadn't changed because now simply working from different locations doesn't mean that our culture or our strategy will change. On the contrary, we trusted our managers that they knew how to best manage and organize their teams and how to perform simply. And although we hadn't significantly increased trainings for managers, for example, to help them leverage on skills, however, we have introduced new tools and new topics in communications that we have been sending out regularly, such as manager toolkits. New applications were launched. For example, we have a new application that is called Ongoing Conversation Tool, which creates templates for the manager. So for example, if I am having a difficult conversation with my employee, which could be about his performance, it could be about a family issue that he is having or so on, I could click on certain topics that I would want on that tool, and that tool would generate on its own a template for me with initiating topics, with questions, with answers, and even with action points. So to support managers to have these discussions. Then we have the fourth category, which is setting clear expectations. And that is actually one of the keys of a successful transition. So the way that we have been forced into the new working mode created a lot of uncertainties. And for that, HP made sure that from the beginning, we set and communicate clear expectations to all of our employees. So to start with, for example, as the global ambience wasn't necessarily positive at the time, many across the globe, whether be it at HP or any other company, had a lot of concerns of whether or not they will keep their jobs to start with. And at that time, HP took the decision on a global level to immediately stop all terminations and redundancies for over a quarter of time into the pandemic. And this was widely communicated to the employees to comfort them and allow them to focus all of their energy and all of their efforts on actually the job and how to deal with this new norm. Following this decision, senior leadership made sure that it communicated all goals, whether they are short, medium, or long-term, clearly communicated and cascaded down properly across the organization. So transparency here was key, so that our employees would know where they sit and how their role, how they are positioned in the overall achievements and the requirements of our business. And while setting expectations and our goals, we also ensured that performance, as it has always always been definitely measured on deliverables and not on, for example, working hours. What we care about at HP is what we do and how we do it. So definitely doing it in a compliant and ethical way. And as you see, this doesn't have any relation for how much time you spend online or how much time you spend connected. This had been the case actually at our company pre-pandemic. However, as we moved to work from home, that didn't only change the lives only of us, but also our family members. And we made sure that employees also place their families at top of their priorities. So that means that you might not even work the normal standard working hours, let's say 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 or whatever. So we did understand the struggles of our team members and the changes that they had to cope with, such as e-learning, for example. And so to set clear expectations, managers at different levels made sure that they led by example. And for instance, and that was an example I was just giving before the call, we could see a senior manager, even our CEO, for example, with his kids next to him on the call, because that's a new norm. He would have his baby, for example, maybe crying in the background, but that's entirely normal. That's how all our lives have changed. So to create a kind of comfort to our employees and tell them that this is normal and that's understandable and not a reason to worry about. And on a more formal note, the company started working on a location strategy. Given that we were able to prove that we can work from home as effective as we work from office, we started looking into mobility options from a different angle. Maybe not everyone needs to be in the office, for example, at all times, and this will impact how we work on the long run. But was also useful to inform employees about the different alternatives that we have and that we are considering. For example, we are looking into introducing 4 different work modes that are based on, well, of course, conformity with local regulations, such as flex time or flexible working hours, part-time, job rotation, and even compressed work week. Moving on to surveys and feedback. So during the past year, we've ensured to listen to our staff and to get their input on how they rated different aspects that we have introduced into working from home. So gathering feedback happened through different forums, whether they are sending out online surveys or round tables, for example, which allowed, in some instances, keeping confidentiality if employees felt that comfortable to share or not comfortable to share their opinions, or the round tables, or even reporting to their managers or directly to me as HR. This process of gathering feedback didn't only help us cater to the current needs of our teams, but also to plan on future scenarios and prepare accordingly. So it was a continuous process, and it still is. So it didn't happen, for example, once only throughout last year, but also different intervals, and is still ongoing as we speak, to be honest. And the final point here is setting a meeting strategy. So during the first period of working from home, every single member of the team wanted to make sure that they are available online throughout the day and that they were connected and they are still engaged, and they wanted to show that they actually care for the business. And this quickly led us to have the impression that the colleagues or everyone is available always, and that they should be, as they are working from home. And so we suddenly found ourselves actually with back-to-back meetings and without a break, and meeting taking place at different time of the day, and even at some point in the night, not taking into consideration different time zones as we are a multinational company. A few months down the line, this became a red flag, and our management made sure to take actions to have our employees get a healthy working mode and not to go into what we call a meeting fatigue. So several decisions were taken afterwards, such as now we never stop, we never start actually a meeting at top of the hour. We always give a break or a 5 to 10 minutes, allowing employees to take a break. They either need to just get out and breathe, as Dr. Satish was saying, maybe have a cup of water, or maybe attend to one of their family's needs. And we also consider now meetings on minutes rather than hours. So do we actually need a full hour to have the meeting, or could it be wrapped up in 10 to 15 minutes? We always revise the list of invitees to ensure that the presence is actually needed and they're not just passive attendees on the calls and just populating the calendars out of the blue. And additionally, we started clubbing several meetings. So instead of having, for example, one quarterly meeting for every hub, we might started adding hubs together so that it's one meeting for all attendees. So now that we have spoken about the transition to the work from home, I would like to move to communication. And please, on the next slide. Yes. So as you can see here that there is a split. There is formal channels and there are informal channels. And as you heard me speak about the methods and the actions that we took into a full transition to a successful work from home, you would have noticed the huge amount of focus that we have put on communications and on transparency. We always made sure that there is a two-way communication maintained. So it's not only from managers or top to bottom, but we always also got feedback from our teams. And we were considerate of our workforce. So during the past year and the sudden transition to work from home wasn't only necessary to deliver messages and gather feedback, but also to maintain a healthy interaction between our population, to keep our teams informed, engaged, motivated, and provide a social interaction, which Dr. Satish and Dr. Kamal just mentioned as well. So our focus was not only to take on only the business needs, but also it was a very important factor that we have considered was the overall employee well-being. So as you can see, communication was split into two channels. One mainly for the business needs, and the other one was, as I mentioned, for the well-being. We have first the all employee meetings. So these are normally quarterly calls. They take place once every quarter. They showcase company or BU results, and they plan ahead for the next quarter, and are normally split by business unit or markets. The information provided on these calls would be cascaded down to the hubs, who would in turn have their own meetings and ensure that the strategy is cascaded, but on a more local focus. Then for more frequent updates, we have the different BUs or business unit newsletters. And as I mentioned before, under meeting strategy, company had still carefully considered that number of calls and the meetings that we were having. So to replace calls and to get into a more maybe pragmatic solution, we started looking into newsletters. We started ensuring that all meetings and calls are being recorded so that if I couldn't, for example, join at a certain point of time, or I had to attend to a personal matter or to another business need, I would be able to watch the recording at my own convenience. And finally, in addition, we could see the one-on-ones, and those are the most common form of formal meeting, which is without doubt the most needed one. And although we are fully aware of the load of calls and the work needs to be accomplished in between and the burdens of the daily life that the work from home has added to us, the manager-employee one-on-one remained a necessary platform and was even stressed more than before. Not only to help on the business need, but also it was needed more as managers at some point turned into sounding boards for their employees on various topics. And in many cases, even became the other two-way channel. So even employees became sounding boards for their managers to tackle different struggles or concerns that they are facing. These formal channels and many more were essential to maintain our employees' productivity and their commitment on deliverables. And since we are no longer working in the same physical place, HP ensured that its employees not only had the tools and the equipment that they need to perform, but also to keep people informed, to keep them part of the decision-making process, the results celebration, and the achievements, even setbacks at some point, and planning to the future. And we guaranteed that we had access to our employees at all intervals of time and the information as needed. Now, our productivity is not only related to the business side and what the resources are available to ensure that the individual is performing their task successfully, especially if we consider the global pandemic that we are living with. And it changed all of the aspects of our lives. This is why at HP we also put lots of efforts into informal communication forums. And the main aim of these platforms is to keep us connected and engaged so that we maintain healthy living and eventually an effective and efficient work environment. The first example would be the Daily Huddles. And this was introduced by managers in different shapes, whether only to their teams, it could be across teams, and even across countries if they had teams in different countries. And the idea of it came actually from our morning routine in the office. As we used to come in the morning to the office, we would gather at the coffee machine, have just a bit of a check-up, catch up on each other's and the families, and that's where the idea came from. So now you could see at HP that we have multiple, in my calendar, I have, I don't know, 3 or 4 Daily Huddle invites that are not mandatory. I can join at any point, any day if I feel so, over a cup of coffee in the morning maybe, and we just catch up. And normally we talk, oh, did you take the vaccine? Who didn't take the vaccine? How's your family doing? How's e-learning doing? Are your kids at school? Are they not? We just check up randomly on each other, not at all talking about business, but just to keep that social interaction. And it could be not only in the morning. At some of the Daily Huddles that we have are in the, for example, afternoons of Thursday, planning the weekend. What are you doing tomorrow? Are you going out for the desert, having a barbecue, catching up with some friends, exercising again, you know? So just to keep that social interaction going. The other forum is the SLT, or the Site Leadership Team. And this, as its name suggests, is site related. And we used to have it before at the office. And the purpose of it was to maintain or to brainstorm on ideas to enhance our office, the services available and the interaction in the office. Now that we moved to work from home, we didn't eliminate the role of the site leadership. We actually moved it and transformed it into a virtual mode. So now the job and the main goal behind the site leadership team is to ensure how we keep our people engaged and motivated and connected through virtual modes. And that team throughout the past year helped and actually planned many activities that we have held, such as Kids Talent Show that we have hosted in Dubai. We had, for example, a family cooking class, a family iftar, and so on. A lot of other initiatives that we have made sure to keep on going the social interaction with our families. And then we have introduced a new forum throughout the last year, which is called Leagues. And Leagues, the concept behind them is actually support systems. We split our teams based on, well, they volunteered on themes. And it gathered like-minded people, so people who have same interests. So for example, we have a parenting support league, we have tech geeks, we have a reading club, we have a wellness league. So like-minded people. So for example, if I am a parent and it's my top of priorities is my family, I would join the parenting support league. And what it does is that it meets once every month. They discuss different tips, tricks, advices that they could give to parents across the company. It could be about schools, about list of doctors, about struggles that they are facing with kids at different ages. They would put that into a newsletter and they send it out every month. And then parents across the company would know who these people are on this league, and they would reach out to them in case, for example, I am struggling, my child is having fever today and I don't know the reason. Can you recommend a doctor, for example? And similarly, the rest of the leagues would do their job based on their interest, and they would provide that support system. And finally, quickly, I would like to go through recognition. Without doubt, recognition was one of the main pillars of engagement, even pre-pandemic, pre-work from home. And it was one of the essential, actually, points that would keep turnover rates low at every company. All companies made sure that people are recognized for their efforts and for their achievements. And it was easier, actually, when we had the face-to-face interaction at the office. While I would easily reach out to someone, or he would pass through me and I would say, thank you for doing this. Or I would say in front of another colleague, well, I'm so thankful X did that to me, or Y did that to me. And it was a kind of a natural recognition that would come out. However, moving into this kind of solo environment and this kind of work was difficult for us to keep that beat up and to keep that motive there. So at HP, we have a recognition tool. And other companies do not necessarily need that recognition tool. You could simply drop an email to that person, copying his manager or multiple stakeholders, which make him get that, vibe up, that positivity up, and say, thank you for doing XYZ for me. It was really helpful. Even it could be just cheering me up. It's not necessarily something that could pour into my performance. But at HP, it's a bit more structured. The tool is available where we recognize people on that tool, and me as HR at the end of the week and right before the weekend, just to cheer people up, we send out a newsletter to say, these are the people that got recognized this week, and these are the people that recognized them. So thank you for making an effort to actually say thank you, to recognize someone, and to appreciate the efforts that they are doing. And that really helps keep the team spirit high, keep that engagement there, and keep people wanting to produce more and to be productive and to perform more. So this was briefly on effective communication, and I would like quickly to go to the next slide, and that's a very important pillar, and that is also related to mainly what Dr. Satish has talked about, and that's the wellness initiatives that we have launched. So health and wellness are now hot topics, and they are for a good reason, especially if we are talking about a pandemic. So as all employers are aware, and now more than ever, wellness and employee well-being has become, has additionally had its impact on business results. So during all the stress that we are going through, all the uncertainties that we are going through, and the pandemic, the performance of employees is very highly likely to drop. And this is why at HP we have poured a lot of focus on improving employees' well-being as they adapt to the new normal throughout last year of 2020 and till date. It is worth mentioning that employee well-being is not only limited actually to the set of activities that I will tell you about now, but it's also to the changes that I have been talking through my entire presentation. So mainly communication, transparency, availability. That is where the initial well-being of the employee and the basis of the employee well-being is formed. So if I am kept without any communication, if I am kept in the, I don't know, on the side, not being informed, not knowing where my future is going or the company future is going, I would automatically go into stress. And as Dr. Satish has mentioned, that would affect eventually on even my physical well-being. So not only on my mental well-being and my performance at work and my productivity. And now, since I've already mentioned the different initiatives we've made on communication and transparency and resources availability, I will talk about the set of activities that you have provided as HP to cover physical, mental wellness as well. And as you can see on the slide, one common thing across everything that we have provided is virtual. So everything that we have done has been done virtually. We haven't had a face-to-face meeting since last year, so exactly 1 year now. And it is understandable that it has its own limitations and its own struggles. Not everything could be done virtually, but maybe as we move forward and as everyone cope to this new norm, there will be new solutions. There will be more creative options that are provided down the line that will optimize the benefits and these initiatives and their outcomes. So one very important pillar and the aspect of these initiatives is, of course, the physical well-being. And as I mentioned, it has its limitations being virtual. Some of the examples that we have provided at HP for physical well-being is virtual sessions on, for example, yoga. That would help both mental and physical wellness. We had dance classes, we had ergonomic sessions to maintain posture, to maintain, having a healthy physical setting on the office. And as we know, not everyone is having a home office setup, especially that this has happened just out of the blue. So we had these sessions, and as I understand that a lot of companies have concerns on how to secure funds to ensure all of these physical sessions are provided, to be honest, and I would tell you, we have done that all free of cost. So we reached out to our employees to see what their hobbies are, what their interests are, and what they are really passionate about. And we used our employees to set up these sessions. And that helped not only into maintaining the physical well-being of all of the rest of the population, but also to get these people who are providing these sessions more engaged. And it allowed them an opportunity to perform their hobbies and their interests on work time and to share it with their colleagues. So that is in terms of physical wellness. In terms of mental wellness, this is something that has been rising and even becoming more important than the physical part, because it actually eventually drives physical well-being at the end, and you could become physically ill because you haven't maintained your mental well-being. And at HP, we also set up a lot of seminars and webinars throughout the past year that were mainly targeting mental wellness. So something like stress management, coping with anxiety, especially ones that are related to COVID anxiety. But not only that, also we tackled issues like financial wellness and financial security, for example, because that impacts our mental well-being eventually. And also, it's worth mentioning that at maybe UAE specifically, or maybe the Gulf region, it is, we are all expats, or majority of the task force is expats. And by that, we lost our natural support system, which is our extended families. And so it became even more and more important to provide a support system for our mental well-being. And for that, at HP, we provide something called the EAP program, or the Employee Assistance Program, which is a confidential platform where we have different mobile or phone numbers that employees could dial at any point of time at a confidential point, again, so no one will know your identity. When you reach out to an expert you can talk to, whether it's on financial issues, whether it's on mental issues, or on health issues that you don't want to discuss with your colleagues or your friends or even your smaller family. And again, on the mental wellness part, if companies are struggling with funds to support, we were able to provide these free of cost by reaching out to our insurance provider or to our broker, for example, who were happy to support and put us in contact with experts and clinics that provided these sessions free of charge. And the last part is making this fun and involving the families. So as you heard me speak before, a lot of our initiatives have included our families. And most recently, I would refer, for example, to last week, where we celebrated International Women's Day. And normally that's a day that we celebrate at the office. It includes our female population. We celebrate them, we show them appreciation. But this last year has showed us that it wasn't only about our female colleagues. It was about every female we have in our family members. Our mothers, our spouses, our daughters, our sisters, who have contributed enormously into making every one of our team members' lives easier and allowing them to be more productive at work. So that is why we involved everyone in our team, all their family members who are females, in the celebration, and we showed them the appreciation that they deserved. And again, I would refer to some of the activities that we have done previously on kids' talent shows, on involving, families in different sorts of activities that we have. For me, that is it. It was quick. And on a final note, I would like to say that there's not one approach towards working from home, and every company has its own culture, its environment that would react differently to managing work from home. However, the common thing and the only constant that we have is change. So be it the pandemic or any other reason, change will always be there, and we have to cope. We have to develop ourselves to become more agile, less resistant, and able to transform quickly. Change management is becoming more and more essential, as it's mainly focused on mentalities and environments. And with change of mentality comes trust and accountability. And that is how work from home becomes more successful, and that is how we become more productive. This is the main driver for a successful work from home mode. So thank you very much for the time that you've allowed me. I hope that it was beneficial, and I hope that the attendees of this call would be able to benefit from the different examples that I've given about HP initiatives. Thank you.
Absolutely, Jihan. I think a lot of organizations are going to take a leaf out of your experience, and thank you for the excellent presentations. Very insightful examples and initiatives. And once again, thank you. And as we expected, I think with Dr. Satish and Jihan, I think we have a full picture. And for me, at least, I think the presentation exceeded my expectations. I think I could see both sides of the coin. Very, very well covered. So thank you, Dr. Satish. Thank you, Jihan, for a very, very insightful presentations. And now we go to the Q&A session. So please, if you haven't asked your questions, please pop them in the Q&A session. I'll start with a question that may be lighthearted, but I believe it's important. That's for Dr. From Anish or Dr. Satish. And the question, maybe if you can see it, just summarize it. He said, you said avoid caffeine, and it was a statement from you. Can you please elaborate briefly? Maybe not for Anish, but for all of us that drink coffee like myself. He said, I don't usually drink a lot of coffee, but when I have some, I feel much, much more relaxed. So can you please tell us whether we should drink coffee or not drink coffee? Because we do feel relaxed after we have a cup of coffee.
Yes, sir. Definitely coffee have caffeine. Caffeine is a stimulant. It stimulates our nervous system. It makes us awake and all. But after coffee, whatever the residual effects is there, we notice that there will be a lot of issues. Coffee increases the body peristaltic movements, the gastrointestinal movements, the intestinal movements. So sometimes this coffee can lead to a lot of diarrhea issues, and mainly coffee and heartbeat rhythm. It increases the heartbeat, and if the person have any previous rhythmic changes in heart, this caffeine even may cause this arrhythmatic effects even worse. And coffee increases the heart rate more than required. And coffee increases the release of stress controlling hormones too much at a time, at a glance. So this again causes the osteoarthritis and lot of health issues we noticed if the person is taking coffee, this caffeine. And later on, if the person have a strong effect of like caffeine, taking too much of coffees every day, regularly, and if you see, we see like tremors because of the low calcium issues around, and we see shivering, we see arthritis, we see erythema, and these things. That's why we suggest don't stimulate sympathetic nervous system unnecessarily. And caffeine is a strong stimulant of that sympathetic system, which we don't need it every time. That's why we always suggest limit to 1 cup. If you are interested in it, 1 cup. And the question is, I don't take every day. I take rarely. Sometimes if I feel more stress, fine. Even previously, we give coffee as a treatment of migraine. The person with a high stress or he get a headache, we give coffee because it reduces little stress at the time, and the person will be awake and he'll be relaxed. But it doesn't mean that the coffee will take regularly. Extra dose of caffeine is always dangerous. 1 cup is max sufficient, and I don't suggest a strong coffee. A light coffee is fine. And instead of that, if you want to shift any drink, we suggest herbal teas, which have antioxidant properties, which can prevent cancers also and good for digestion, not caffeine. That's why we always tell, if the person is in stress, anxiety, better don't take coffee. If the person have a...
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Satish. Actually, you answered 2 more questions. One question, how many is enough? And I think you said 1. And that's not strong coffee, but light coffee. I think I have to change my coffee drinking habit. And the second one, what about tea? And you said that is fine, herbal tea, and it's better. So thank you. You answered 2 more questions in your answer. And the other one is question to Jihan. I think you mentioned with very, very powerful and very good suggestions that the only constant things that we are going to see is change. And I think change is coming to the fore now, that organizations have to look at a lot of things. And the question is for you, we have now 1 year of experience, and if we carry on working from home, it's over years. We don't know what's going to happen. I think the evidence is emerging as we live. In the beginning, it was a few things, and we are learning more about working from home as we progress over time. The question, how can management effectively sustain remote working employees' productivity, motivation over time if this goes on for years? How can they really sustain this motivation that we talk about? A lot of very good initiatives. Are they going to work year after year, or is it some organization have to really come up with some very innovative way of managing and keeping employees motivated and productive?
Mhm. So thank you for the question. And I believe we haven't yet reached the final norm given the pandemic. And that is going to take us a couple of years down the line to really understand what is the new normal and how the new working mode is going to be. And I believe that it's going to be a blended scenario in between working from office and working from home. So we're not going to go back fully to office or fully from home. And that interaction is necessarily needed. So these face-to-face interactions will necessarily be required also to maintain that successful, as we are saying, productivity going on and that interaction going on. But the main thing that is needed here and to maintain the vibes and to maintain this success is to change management. So we need to work on our mentality. We need to work on how to become more agile, how to become more lean as companies as well as individuals. We cannot be resistant. We have successfully completed 1 year, although it wasn't easy. No one said it was easy, and no one said that it is going to become easy, but we develop and we learn as we go. And I think that this is going to continue for quite some time now until we develop a new habit. And we need to think of it historically as well with the revolutions in the past. And we need to consider this as one of the revolutions that is coming on, that is going to change our lives. And at some point of time, we are all going to adjust to it. So we are now going through that transition, which is the most difficult time for it, which holds a lot of uncertainties, but communication remains the key, as I mentioned, and change management is necessary.
Thank you, Jihan, for a very, very insightful answer. Thank you. I think we all agree with what you have suggested. Just a question to Dr. Satish, and while I ask the question, I would like to put another question, follow-up question to your answer. But the question is, in the medium to long term, from a medical perspective, how, and this is also I think related to the question we asked Jihan, how does working from home over time, and here if it persists and we continue, affect the psychological health of employees? What are the other health issues that we need to watch out for, and what are the red flags? And while you're dealing with this question, can you please, on the side, answer this question? You say tea is good, and somebody is asking, can I drink tea with milk?
Of course, tea with milk is fine, but I told you, like anything which exceeds its limit works as a poison. So 1 or max of 2 is fine. Now, if you give a ranking, like first I suggest herbal tea, then the second rank goes to tea with milk. It's fine. It's fine to take. And it's a long-standing, if you keep a long-standing view of like work from home, and in home, like few things I have to mention, sir. Like suppose if in my home the workstation is not proper, it should start from there. My motivation should be always in such a way keep my work environment in a positive line, not the negative line, which it impacts my health. Like whether my chair is ergonomically perfect or not, whether my table is good or not, whether I can manage the network systems here properly or not. It's not up to try to upgrade your working system and see. Suppose if I get severe chest palpitations, which I sit calm and severe palpitations and getting headache with no reason, and I feel like always drowsy, weakness and all, and suddenly if I listen any abnormal sounds in my ear, and which I feel tiredness and overall sweating with no reason, even the AC is on, I feel sweating continuously. These signs may be saying that your brain is saying I'm tired or I'm stressed or I'm in anxiety. Just go check with your doctor. And definitely a basic screening I always suggest to all the people, like if you all of a sudden your diet is good and everything, but you have a truncal obesity and lower chin, make sure check in your stress line also once. Or suppose if this palpitations and all, you don't have any disease previously, any thyroid disease, nothing is there, but you are getting severe palpitations and headache, and check your blood sugars and blood pressures for sure at least every 3 months or 6 months. And if it is fine, or you are frequently going to urine, feel like eating every day, every hour, and you see your weight is going low more than 2 kgs every month, it is going drastically change in weight or weight reduction and all, definitely have to check with your nearby doctor. And the basic parameters they check is your cholesterol, blood sugar, blood pressure, and this basic screening is necessary. If everything comes normal, then the doctor can decide whether there is a need of psychiatrist or not. This is the proper line. And check our routine also, how many hours we are keeping for ourselves, like whether we are keeping time for exercise or not. If not, just add that exercise line. What kind of diet I am taking, if any corrections needed, check with one dietitian or any nutritionist or any doctor nearby, check whether the diet is good or not. And any joint pains, any issues are there, like related to work related, any injuries you noticed, anything which, any problem which is not resolving by time, better I suggest once check with your clinician. And if any work issues are there, better check with your managing staff, manager or boss, like, these are the challenges I am facing in home, please be open in it. And definitely if we can do this, we can adopt to work from home atmosphere, as well as we can keep our atmosphere suitable for work. That's what, in long standing, if there is a need of work from home, we have to make sure that our working atmosphere, work atmosphere should be in a positive line, not the negative line. Then only our mental and physical health will be proper.
Thank you very, very much, Satish. I think I have one question for Jihan, but she has already answered. That is, and this is going to be permanent. I think you said the future looks like it's going to be a hybrid between working from home and working from office. And the future plan, how you planning, it's learning by doing. I think that's, they have suggestions you said, and we have to keep the communication open. And I think that's, so if maybe I move to the final question that I have, I think for Jihan. If for us listening to today's presentations, and whether managers or employees going back to our work, what are the 3 top tips you would like to give to managers managing employees working from home and employees working from home today? Things that they can do very quickly, maybe low-hanging fruits, that you would suggest to them.
So for managers, I would say first, keep the communication channels open. It is highly needed, regardless of how much workload you have. You never know how much the person on the other side needs you. So that is one. The other one is learn to trust. Not everyone needs micromanagement. It has become an outdated style of managing, and we need to build our future career force into a trustful and accountable workforce. And the third part is to always also see the human part of the individual. It's not only about what he performs, about the numbers that he gives. We are all humans and we're all into this together. For employees, I would say the first thing is let's be grateful. We do understand that we are all in this together. It's not an easy situation. At least let us be grateful that we still have our jobs, that we still have our incomes, that our families are okay, and that we are safe. The second thing is learn how to take responsibility. Make sure that you prove that you are responsible and that you are accountable, so that you are not micromanaged anymore, and that you are given the free choice of managing your work at any point of time, at any location, because that is the future. And if you are not agile and if you are not resistant, if you kept being resistant, you are not going to be part of that future. So change is again the constant, and we need to all learn how to adapt to change.
Thank you so much for very, very insightful advices. Last question to Dr. Satish, and briefly, if I may ask, what are the 3 things perhaps that we should maybe start changing today if we're not doing them and they have the highest impact on our health and well-being?
Sure, sir. Actually, I can see one more question I want to answer in it, like gastritis, and also I got a question in the chat.
Let me just go back to it and see.
The question is like, what are the things we have to see? Suppose, I again repeat, maybe it's a repetition, but thing is whether we are doing exercise or not. This is very, very important. Whether we are having food on time or not. This is very important. And the question related to gastritis, I tell you, even if we take the best medicine in the world also, the best medicine in the world, but if you don't maintain a food discipline, gastritis will continue. If you take too much of oily and spicy foods before sleep, indigestion and acidity will continue. And if you have low green and if you eat less vegetables and more of non-vegetarian diet, definitely this acidity will continue. And if you take a lot of drinks, alcohol, and coffee and all, definitely acidity will continue. So first best step is eat food on time, make sure low spicy and low oily, drink more water. And second thing is, if suppose in home, if we don't do these three things, exercise, good sleep, good diet and good water intake, first we have to change in this. And if any problem is there, first we have to check ourselves whether we can resolve it, or if any mild stress is there, first we have to keep a line that it's okay to be not to be okay. Fine, everything happens in coming days, any changes may happen, we have to be ready facing it. If we can't, it is out of scope, leave it or check with any expert who can solve it. And this one-to-one meetings, as I always tell, check with your experts and this will resolve. And if you are not doing this, please make sure you have a good sleep and stress relieving things like good music and yoga and meditation. I have to tell in it. If you do this, start doing now only a simple technique I'll tell you, which you can practice. Just close your eyes and think that your kid is kissing you. It brings a simple smile. Or just close your eyes, imagine yourself, there is a white wall, and write all your problems and think that it is solving by itself. Slowly the stress levels will come down, and these are the tips which I give, but definitely expert is needed for to teach a yoga and to teach a meditation. But these things I practice. I close my eyes and I feel that my younger son is kissing me, and I close my eyes and I feel the best moments in my life. The day I proposed to my wife, these are examples. Okay, and such a brain relaxing things which we have to do. Meditation and yoga, definitely it should be with an expert. Just check with them, and if they teach you, practice it. It helps a lot. And always, stress is good, but up to a limit only. Thank you.
And if you may touch on the other question, the tips, not the top tips, to maybe we can start today, because there are things that come, changing your habits, eating habits and drinking coffee maybe takes time, slow down, but things that maybe we could start today going after this session, and we should just start doing them, and they have a high impact on our health and well-being while working from home.
Sorry, sir. Hello.
We can hear you.
Sorry, Dr. Kamal, can you repeat the question?
I said, what are your top tips that maybe we could start and we should start after this session in terms of our living habits, or you suggest them that will have the highest impact on our health and well-being while working from home?
While working from home, definitely first thing is, again, the same thing comes like exercise. First, try to keep a schedule. Suppose if tomorrow, if you want to do exercise, it doesn't mean that we call a friend and tell, wake me up at 5 o'clock. We both go together. We don't wake up and we disturb the other person also who is trying to wake us up. Just keep a schedule and always keep a timetable. If things are not going good, keep a timetable, keep an alarm. This hour is for exercise. These hours are for work, and between works we have to take one breaks in it. And suppose if I am a smoker, I have to be in a good willpower that I have to stop smoking. So just to quit smoking, there are a lot many nicotine patches, and you can check with the doctors. Or else, what I suggest is, just try to reduce the count day by day. And it's always helpful to reduce nicotine effect in our body. And other than that, have a good sleep, and sleeping hours maintain up to 6 to 7 hours. For this also, once you go home after the work, make sure by 8 o'clock, by 7 or 8, finish off your dinner, and keep at least 1 hour gap between your sleep and dinner. And after that, put off the light, or else if you're not feeling sleep, try to read a boring book which provokes you sleep. But if you take a cell phone and see, the light will provoke your reticular activating system and it don't make you sleep. So keep your cell phone silent, and don't watch any crime news before sleep, and keep everything perfect on time. Just if you sleep every day, if you go on sleeping in particular timings, your circadian rhythm will be changed and it will be adopted to that time particularly. And morning, the person can wake up on time. Early morning, if you wake up with fresh brain, the day will go good, and you will wake up with a positive mind. And exercise will definitely give a confidence and self-esteem once we do exercise, and just keep one bottle in your table, 1 or 2 liters of water bottle near your table where you work. So in between, if you feel any relaxation, you automatically just touch the bottle and drink the water. Or if you keep a big flask of coffee, you take that. Or if you take, it depends, what you keep nearby. If you keep a good thing, it will help you. So keep one bottle of water in between, you can drink and you can keep yourself hydrated. And while working, also make sure the bright lightness, and then change your table in such a way there will be a bright light always. And these minor changes, and definitely, if anything, I told you all the symptoms. If you feel such symptoms, check with your physician as early as you can.
And thank you so much, Dr. Satish. I think I would like to close the session now. I'm just looking at the time. And I will say once again, thank you so much, Dr. Satish Suri and Ms. Jihan Sarir, for your time and expertise. We learned a lot today, and I'm sure our audience are going to benefit from attending today's session. Thanks also to the audience for joining us today for your questions. You will receive a URL or a short survey. We're going to send you a URL to a short survey, and we please encourage you to fill it up. It's your evaluation, and we will use it to improve our all webinar programs. So your feedback is greatly appreciated by us. We hope that you can join us again on our next public webinar, our webinars. Thank you again, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.